Hello and welcome to Royal Aberdeen Golf Club for this, the final of the Scottish Boys Matchplay Championship between the number 1 and 2 seeds, David Law there, and in the foreground last year's beaten finalist, Paul Shields. And as you would expect from links golf, the breeze is up, and I wonder how it's going to affect the players. First to tee off on this 36-hole final, David Law, boy from Hazelhead. And he's watching that anxiously, along with everybody else. Driving down into the early morning sun. And Paul safely away. And I can tell you here on the first hole, as the spectators made their way downwards towards the green, one man was walking back the way. David Law, back up to the first tee, unable to find his opening drive down the right hand side. Paul Shields with a little wedge into the green, 409 yards, and I can tell you, David Law with his second ball knocked it onto the green and had this for a bogey 5. Not bad considering he had a lost ball. But that meant that Paul Shields had a fairly short putt on the opening green to take a 1-hole lead. And he did. Very dramatic background here in Royal Aberdeen. The Balgownie links. 1 hole played. Paul Shields 1 up. And as we move down onto the third tee, Paul Shields took the second as well, and still has the honour. And a long par 3 this, and Paul just not quite making it up onto the green, underclubbed. And David, having watched that, well, he's made sure, just landing on the front edge, and rolling up pin high. That's a very nice tee shot. And Paul chipped on just a few feet past. So David had this for the hole, but came up just a wee bit short. His 3 was safe though, and Paul needed this to tie the hole and stay 2 up, and just pushed it off to the right. And that was good enough for David to take the hole. As we're on the 5th here now, Paul still 1 shot ahead, through the green in 2, and chipping back, and he's played it nicely. He's got that for a par 4. Good coverage this week in the press for the tournament. Getting quite used to seeing these two. Their photographs in the papers, but David Law's got this for a birdie 3 to take the hole, and right in the middle of the hole. Fantastic stuff. And the match after 5, all square. But as we move down onto the par 3 8th, David Law is now 1 hole ahead, winning the 6th. And well, he's come into some form. A lovely tee shot there in this 150-yard par 3. And you can see Paul was a little bit more bold with his tee shot, landing over the green, but he's chipped it up nicely for some pretty awkward rough. But David still has this to take the hole, to go 2 up. Just pushed it to the side. Could Paul see this in to half the hole? He did, and that meant, well, it was still 1 up to David. Out now onto the 11th. Another par 3, 175 yards. Again into the wind. And just off the back edge, rolling back on nicely there from Paul. And the wind dying down a little bit as we reach the middle of the day. Good crowds for this final. Now Paul has this for a 2. He's putting first. And he's just been a little bit bold. On the low side though. And that should be good enough for his 3. As the spectators watch on. David with that little practice routine that he has before he addresses the ball. And once he addresses the ball, no more practice swings. He's got this for a 2. Oh, and it looks good. Oh, just left of the hole. And indeed that hole was halved with 3s. Leaving David still 2 up. As we move round on to the 17th. The second last hole of the morning. David's managed to get himself 3 up. Winning the 16th. But I tell you what, he's pushed that. And, well, short and right. Maybe try hoping for the wind to do a little more than it did. And perhaps an opportunity for Paul. Oh, the wind is getting a hold of that one. Just rolling it round to the edge of the green, but he's nicely on. And the sun still fighting its way through the clouds. Now, an awkward chip here for David. He's got to come either between the bunkers or over the bunkers with not too much green to work with. He's flied over and, well, they got a little bit of check on that, but difficult to stop the ball. Downwind, downhill, and over the bunkers. He's there in 2. So Paul's got this rather lengthy putt for the hole. And look at that, the slope, just catching that there. Rolling away off to the right. And that could make things interesting. Still David to putt first. Now this would be a magnificent up and down from where he was. And indeed it is. Fantastic 3 there from David. And, well, from looking likely to lose the hole, he's put a little bit of pressure onto Paul. And Paul, oh, just catching the edge. Well, there you go. David moves to 4 up. And perhaps not the outcome anybody was expecting after the tee shots there. As we come down the 18th. David just from the back edge of the green, and that's a great effort. Oh, just a little bit short. Well, I guess if Peter Alice was commentating on this, he'd be talking about the fish and chips in the clubhouse, no doubt. Everybody looking forward to a little rest at lunchtime. But Paul would like to go in, just 3 down. He's got this for his birthday to take the hole. I can't believe that hasn't dropped. He can't believe that hasn't dropped. And as we head in for lunch, the score, David Law 4 up.